Hey, crab lovers. It's Mr. Critter and Critter Cat. Hey, Critter Cat. And we're going to take a look at the gooseneck barnacles. They are fascinating creatures. And this one appears to have shed some sort of exoskeleton that surrounds its foot, its grabber, something. Very interesting how these creatures are all protected. You can get a snail or a crab that comes up and doesn't eat them because they've got all this armor, and apparently their foot is armored, and it seems to be one of those creatures where the armor doesn't grow. A snail's armor will continually grow by spiraling outward, or an oyster. But this one is like the crab, where it's got a suit of armor that it sheds. So it's always fun to see how everyone does things differently. Like if we zoom out and look at the oyster continuously extrudes this material that forms its lips, and it hardens into just new layers, and so it becomes a very, very thick creature. Out of focus. Let's get out of focus. Here's out of focus. It's a very thick creature at the end of the day, which is good because the drill snails always try to murder them, eat them. You can see this is a little baby oyster on the side of the big one, and right in the middle of the screen there, that's where I found the drill snail drilling a hole. So I plucked off the drill snail. Very curious why there's a fluorescent green on here. Must be some algae. Yeah, in contrast, the mussels, they don't form a big, thick shell. They just extrude very precisely more shell at the tip, and they just grow linearly. Seems pretty efficient. I always wonder, why is there an oyster and a mussel? Why are there two different form factors, and what's the benefit that the oyster gets, and what's the benefit that the mussel gets? I think the oyster ends up with a very, very solid shell, so it can't be eaten by an otter or a seagull, and the mussel ends up with a quick growing creature, but not as hard a shell, so the seagulls can break them open. And we'll pan back to the shed exoskeleton of these guys, the gooseneck barnacles. And so you can see the baby gooseneck barnacles. I wonder if they just sort of bud? Like, is this asexual reproduction? Are they just cloning themselves? But there seem to be all these little buds. Even this long one that I thought was on its last legs seems to have these teeny babies coming out. It's just kind of one of these miracles that I discover every day. And was there an egg that formed that? Or did they just come right out of the skin? Oh, what's this guy? Yeah, is every one of these white things a new gooseneck barnacle? These are really, really amazing creatures. They really appreciate the high flow. And when I sprinkle the fish food in, I will. They catch it and they love it. At first, they didn't seem to really catch it and love it, and so I think they've learned as they've eaten it. They've learned how good a nutrient source it is. So, if you're interested in more gooseneck barnacles or other creatures, just leave a note in the comment section.